Awesome, dude. Awesome. Very good. I turned some of the lights kind of unscrewed them a little bit because I did this one podcast. Guys like, oh, there's glare everywhere and this and that. So I kind of unscrewed those so they wouldn't hopefully be too overwhelming.
It's all good. It's all perfect. Just fine with me.
Very good. So how's life treating you?
It's good. There's some ups and downs, but so far in general, everything's all good with me, to be honest.
Good. And you work with you work on movie sets?
Yeah, I actually work at Silver Cup Studios.
Man, that has got to be so cool. I'm so jealous. I wish I had something cool like that, you know.
It really is a great job, actually. It really is.
Damn it. Oh, well. What are you going to do?
Oh, yeah.
I live in Wisconsin. There's really nobody, we don't have any studios here.
Oh, by the way, I love that death hoodie you're wearing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I started collecting them like a couple of years ago, and I was like, well, I had like two. I had spiritual healing and one other. And then I started talking with one of the guys at Relapse, and I was like, hey, man, I was like, you got, because I wanted symbolic, and I heard that was like a shirt, one that was, they weren't sure if they were going to be able to release it or make it because of the Roadrunner thing, because that record was on Roadrunner and some licensing, so they finally got one. They finally got okay to do it. And I was like, hey, man, can you send me one? And he sent me one, and then it's like I bought a couple, and then like everyone's like, hey, can you send me one? And he sent me one, and I'd send him like some Morta Skuld merch and like trade them and stuff. So yeah, I think I probably got like 2 or 3 of them for free, and then bought like the rest of them. So I like them, and I just bought a Morbid Angel one from Earache, and I got it, and I'm like, oh man, I should realize that these European people are small people, like not like me, like, I'm a bigger dude, and it's like, shit, I'm like, so I had to send it back, and they sent me a double XL, and I'm like, whatever. So I got the Domination one, and then they have a Altars of Madness one. Maybe I'll get an Altars of Madness one,
That's actually really cool. Which death one are you wearing? Because I have one that is, I have the human one.
Here, I gotta look. Because they're all, the logos, I think, this one is individual thought patterns.
Oh, you got individual thought patterns. I have the human one, actually.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, I got that one, too. I like I said, I have them all. I bought the Scream Buddy Gore one, and they sent it to me, and I was kind of disappointed. It's like a different brand than the rest of them. And it just kind of like feels cheap, So I was like, crap, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's true. Oh, well.
Such is life, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. Before I actually start asking you the questions, I want to say thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. It's my pleasure, dude. I enjoy doing stuff like this. I did one last night, too, actually, for a local guy in town. And he was nice guy and all, but he really was not a good interviewer, He kind of was like, and I mean, I'm a talker, so I mean, ask me anything. It doesn't matter. I like to be engaged, and
oh yeah,
when you have an interviewer that's not really like engaged, it's kind of like, so yeah. This is what it is.
Oh, of course.
But no, it's my pleasure.
Oh, of course. Like, no, really, thank you. I gotta say, like, I'm a really big fan of the band. Morta Skuld, like that album, Dying Remains, and all that. It's one of the best things I've ever heard for such a long time after when I first
thank you. I really appreciate that. I know, and it's crazy that it was, written and recorded so many years ago, and people still hold that record like in high regards. And when we started the band back up again in like 2011, I was kind of like, what? Like, why? I was like, I don't want to, no. I didn't want to embrace the past so much. I wanted to move forward, but then after a while, you see so many people just, and excuse me, even like when we were able to do shows and then we toured, that record, whether it was the vinyl or the CD, just constantly sells, constantly. And the record label, I have something worked out with the record label because we all know record labels aren't really the most honest people. And Peaceville does treat us pretty well. However, the band had broken up and we had left them with like a surplus debt from the third record. And when I started doing this again with them, they wanted that money. Well, we got to get that money back. And I'm like, really, dude? Like, what are you going to do? So I made a deal with them. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, let's reissue all 3 records. and you can keep the royalties. However, I want every time you do a pressing, I want money, or I want copies. So I feel like it was a good idea for me to do that because, I think we're going on 7 or 8 pressings now of Dying Remains since it was reissued. It just every couple of months it just sells out, and I get my copies, and then they get their money from whatever. And I was like, hey man, because for me, I'd rather sell the copies. To me, that's instant money versus waiting 6 months, a year.
Oh yeah, of course. Absolutely. Because speaking of the vinyl of you said the vinyl of Dying Remains, I don't even have that on vinyl. I only have it on CD. Actually, I've been looking for it. And I just can't. I can't find it anywhere. Actually.
What, dude? Peaceville.com. They've got everything. They got all the reissues, even everything. Peaceville.com. That's all I tell people. Like, I can't find it. How can you not find it? All you gotta do is Peaceville.com. Morta Skuld. It's right there.
Oh,
they have everything. They got the first 3 records. They've got One Step at a Time. They got Suffer for Nothing. I mean, everything. So.
Oh, of course. I gotta go down.
Yeah.
I gotta go on there then.
Yeah. Please go visit it. I mean, and I know their shipping's really, really reasonable. So.
No, that's great. Actually, really, thank you for telling me that. Actually, I really didn't even know that the record company even had that in stock.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think they just got a new pressing in because he's like, hey man, we got copies for you. So that was 2 weeks ago. So yeah, they've got a full. My buddy Dread Records, he sells the Dying Remains for me too. So it can be gotten through him, Peaceville, whatever.
Oh, awesome! Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let me begin. I was gonna say, this is what I say always in all my interviews, just to start it out. First of all, tell me a little something about yourself.
Well, I'm Dave Gregor. I'm in an American death metal band called Morta Skuld. We've been around for 30 years. It's pretty much what I do. I have 2 children. Not married anymore, divorced, have an amazing girlfriend who's a huge death metal fan, so works out for me really, really well. Meeting her was awesome because she probably goes to more shows than I go to, and she's not afraid to, she buys everybody's merch and supports all the bands, and so it's really cool. At this point in my life, I have it really good. So I mean, I have a lot of good things going. I don't know if that answers your question, but if you want to elaborate, I'm an open book.
Yeah, that was perfect. That was great. That's all I need to know.
Cool.
Thank you. What else do I want to say? Who came up with the name Morta Skuld? Where did that come from? Because the name is really cool. How did you think of the whole idea? What the name Morta Skuld basically means?
Yeah. The band, going back a little bit, I had a band before that, and it was called Delayed Stress, and it was like a crossover hardcore band. And we did we did a demo, and a couple months after the demo, kind of things went kind of sideways. The band kind of broke up, and I was like, man, I really want to get heavier. And we're looking for names, and one of the local guys in town here was just like, hey, I'll help you out. I'll help you write some lyrics or whatever. Because I really was not. I shouldn't say really, but I was not the original singer. We had a singer, and he just wasn't cutting it. So we had a song. We had one song where everybody in the band switched instruments, and I happened to switch to vocals. And my buddy was like, hey man, he pulled me aside. He goes, your voice is really good. You should sing. And, you guys should, boot the singer. And I'm kind of like, I don't know, man. I really kind of just, I just kind of want to play guitar, and it's like, no, you really should. He's like, I'll help you out. And so he had a list of names, and Morta Skuld was one of them. And I was just like, wow, it was like all these really grotesque, stupid names, and it was just like Morta Skuld. Out of all of them, it just stood out to me. And I was like, no, I want that. And he was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I want that. So I didn't come up with it. It was, like I said, a local guy in town here that was helping me out, and just kind of came up with it. And I was like, I really like that, and kind of helped me out with how to kind of, I guess, play and sing. Because at that time my skills were still pretty rudimentary. So he kind of helped me out, how to sing and maybe where to put some lyric, placements and stuff. and kind of helped me out with some of the lyrics on the first demo, and just kind of from there, it's kind of history.
Oh, nice. Because that's actually really awesome to know that's how it came out to be. Because like speaking of the demo, but now that you just mentioned that, actually, I actually, when I first discovered the band, I didn't even know that at first. I didn't think about like listening to the demo and to see how it was first. I just listened to Dying Remains. But then I went later on to listen to what the demo was. I gotta say, the demo still holds up very well. It's really good, it's brutal, and it's amazing. Still to this day, I feel like it holds up to where it is when it first came out.
Well, thank you, and I agree with you actually. I was very surprised when we were doing my old manager Eric Reif, who handles all the death stuff, all the estate, all the stuff for Chuck's estate. He had approached me in like early 2011 and said, "Hey man, I really like to get those first two demos." Because he produced the first two demos, Gory Departure and Prolong the Agony. And he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "I'd really, really, really like to get those on CD." I said, "Okay, whatever." And so I went in the studio and kind of just tape transferred and sent it to him. And he's like, "Okay." He's like, "Wow." He goes, "This really still sounds good." I was like, "Oh, cool," And then he was doing all the reissues of Death through Relapse. So he was like, "Hey," he goes, "how would you like to have like a comp with all your demos and maybe some unreleased tracks about the Relapse?" And I was like, "Sure," So at that point, the drummer on Prolong the Agony was like doing a lot of like home studio stuff and cleaning up tapes and stuff. And we had a problem actually. Prolong the Agony, the original form and state of Prolong the Agony, somehow when it was recorded, like 2 seconds of the beginning of like each song were like cut off, and we just never were able to get that back somehow. So Jeff Yeager was like, "Hey, I think I can get these back somehow," and whatever. And so he kind of fixed them up a little bit, and there was like a little bit of like noise that he cleaned up a little bit. And we went into the studio again, and we came out. We're like, "Hey, here it is." And then all of a sudden, we found all the DAT tapes. And we're like, "Oh, man, now that we have the DAT tapes, we really can make it sound good." So then we went back in the studio and out probably like 2 or 3 times with those 2 demos before like we were like, "Oh, okay, we got it. There was some really weird, I think the battery on the bass player's bass for Gory Departure was like toast or something, and it made this weird, this like really weird fuzzy thing, and like I hated it. It sounded like shit, and I'm like, I just can't stand it. So Jeff was able to take that out or clean that up a little bit, so it kind of made it sound even better. So when we eventually did the compilation for Relapse, I was like, wow, like this really sound like if you would have told me that was recorded in 1990, I never would have believed you. So I completely agree with you. I think those recordings stand the test of time. And, I was never really a big fan, and this is just me. I know there's probably fans out there that love, like muddy recordings and stuff. And I just was never a fan of that. So my goal from day one for Morta Skuld was to be a little bit more polished, a little bit more produced than, like if you listen to like, let's say like the first Autopsy, it's not very produced. I mean, it's a great record and I love those guys. I mean, we're label mates and all. I mean, I love those guys. Whoa. Uh-oh. Hold on 1 second. Something's going nuts upstairs.
Sure, go ahead.
All right.
That's okay.
Oh. All right. My fault.
Oh, it's okay. Is everything okay?
Yeah. I don't know what's happening. Something was going on. I had my guitar plugged in. I apologize.
It's okay. It's all good.
I had my guitar plugged in. All of a sudden, it started doing some weird things. So, you know what? I bet you that I bet you my battery was dying on one of my pedals, so I totally apologize for the interruption.
It's okay. It's all good. There's no need to apologize, man. It's all good. And things happen at times.
We're better now. I was like, it sounded like a jackhammer. I'm like, what?
Let me think of you were like saying something before about the demos? Like, with Autopsy?
Yeah, like, my goal for Morta Skuld was to just be a little, like, more clean, produced. I want to make sure that the guitars were very pronounced. And like I said, I know there's there's so many great recordings that, from back in the day. Like I said, that first Autopsy is it's a classic. But you can tell it's not, it's not very polished or produced. It's very raw. And so, and that's great in its own right. I just kind of wanted to do something just slightly different for us. And just kind of have that little bit cleaner production, and whether people like it or not, like, to each their own. Everybody likes certain things. Some people like it really raw, and some people like it really produced. So it's just a preference thing.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, of course. But which Autopsy album were you like referring to? Was it the Severed Survival, or was it the
Severed Survival?
Oh, okay, Severed Survival. Actually, no, you are right. Actually, I actually have listened to several. I actually have listened to Severed Survival, and I could see that it wasn't like what you said, like the best produced.
Sure.
Like, also one other thing I want to say was like, during like the early '90s, like when you were recording, like, the time when you were making the album Dying Remains, like how was that like the recording session for that album go?
Well, we kind of, we went from Gory Departure lineup, and then we had a lineup change on Prolong the Agony, and then we had a lineup change for Dying Remains. For Dying Remains, it wasn't as drastic. It was pretty much we just had a drummer change versus guitar player drummer. So Gory Departure, there was a drummer guitar player change, and then for Dying Remains, it was just a drummer change. And the drummer that we had at that time, Kent, had come from a local thrash band called Sinister, local, and we were kind of like, yeah, we're not thrash, dude. We're not thrash, and he was, he actually called me. He's like, come on, man, let me audition. I'm like, no, I'm like, you're a thrash guy. We want a death metal drummer. He's like, I can do it. I'm like, no, and then he came in and auditioned, and I was like, oh wow, like he had a lot of obituary chops, and stuff, and I was like, oh wow, this guy's pretty solid. So the writing process for Dying Remains, like I said, we were just kind of coming off the. We had just done a song for Earache, the Eternal Suffering track. Earache had approached us and said, hey, we want you to do a track for this comp. If we like it or things go good, they were going to hopefully offer us a contract. So we were like really excited about that. And we did the song. We sent it back. It never got released. We never heard from them again. And we were like, okay. And then all of a sudden, not Peaceville, at the time it was Def Records, a subsidiary of Peaceville, had called us and said, hey, your tapes are like just burning up the underground. Everybody's like totally digging it. They want more. Would you guys be willing to sign and do a record? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. And Dying Remains, it just was that record. I can't even explain to you like the chemistry, because we were so new to, even though we had done 2 demos, we were very new to this still. And the best part about it was we were just like so naive, really. Like we didn't, nothing was planned. It was just like, hey, we're just going to write what we write. And, we still do that. Let's just write whatever comes to mind. And as we started to write the songs, because we were very influenced by the European bands, I was a huge Bolt Thrower fan, and I was listening to a lot of Napalm Death and Entomb, Left Hand Path. Still to this day, you listen. That's another record, I think, that's kind of raw, kind of produced, but it really stands the test of time. Like, you listen to it, and like, all the songs are just very well written and great solos. And
I love
that.
And
it's me too. And R.I.P. LG. We'll do a little toast to you.
Yeah, because that really, like, when I heard the news what happened to LG, I really went down in tears for a while, because it hit me hard because the band Entombed got me into Swedish death metal in the first place, and his
Yeah,
vocals like opened up the whole gates to me for listening to the Swedish scene. So
sure.
when I found out that happened, that really crushed me, and I was like, geez, I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
that to happen.
what really took me back was like how fast it happened. It happened fast. You know what I mean? It was like,
Yeah.
hey, and so it is a shame. It's a god awful disease, and I don't wish it even on a worst enemy of mine or somebody I don't like. I don't wish it on anybody. But getting back to Dying Remains, we were listening to everything: Bolt Thrower, Entomb, Carcass, Napalm Death, Morbid Angel, Obituary. I don't know if I said Death, but Death, and all the classic bands, and most of what we were listening to, like Pestilence, and we were just listening to kind of everything at that time. And I think for us, we were like soaking it in. We were like sponges. We were kind of like soaking it in. And I think that just, like some people wear, like they say, some people wear their heart on their sleeve. I feel like we wore our music on our sleeves, and we were just kind of like, and I don't know if I don't know if people say we emulated, or I don't know. I just think it was something. It just came out of us. We were really influenced by a lot of these bands, and I think what we wrote just kind of came out. The writing process, I really don't even remember because it was so long ago. I don't remember how long it took to write the record, nothing like that. The only thing I really remember is I had a hard time in the studio. I was going through a divorce at the time, and I was really having a hard time with tracking. I know some of the guys were a little bit upset with me because I wasn't, I guess I wasn't on my game as much as I should have been. But I really like that album for its rawness, and I just think like the songs are just, I love playing a lot of the songs off that record, and every so often we go back and we relearn another one and kind of just keep throwing it in the mix. So
Yeah, that's actually really actually interesting how the process of the album actually came out because I gotta also say one thing actually the vocals now that I love how guttural and brutal those vocals are like just the riff that starts out with the song when it goes like jin 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 I'm like yes that's how I want it to start that's perfect.
sure, yeah, oh, you got to remember too. There were other bands that, I mean, I was a huge Obituary fan. I still am. So you can kind of hear a little bit of that in there. But I also was really a big fan of Frank from Suffocations, and so I think that's maybe where I kind of got some of the guttural stuff, possibly.
That's
Not saying I'm like him because that guy is a freaking amazing.
Oh yes, no, that's exactly another thing I was gonna say. I was like, it kind of first started to remind me of Suffocation a little bit. That beginning riff, actually, I was like, this kind of sounds like Legion of Inveracity, but a little bit more like heavy on that part. It really
Sure.
does.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we were listening to everything. I just think, sometimes it just kind of sinks in, and you just inadvertently, it just comes out, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like that's one thing I like that bands do. I love like when bands get like influenced by like other bands because then you can hear that they really love them so much that they want to be just as like great and amazing as they are, and then they usually come out to be even just as good as what they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, they're an amazing band. I mean, they're definitely a legendary band, and one of many in our genres. So, yeah, we had I think it was a couple of years ago. There was I can't remember the name of it now. I think it's a Summer Slaughter tour was coming through,
Ooh.
and it was coming through, and then something happened. There was no Milwaukee date, but they had a day off, and I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Suffocation and Cannibal.
Yes, it was because I think it's the 2016 one because it was Suffocation, Cannibal
Yes.
Corpse, and I have the poster. It was like it was some deathcore bands. Nile was actually there.
Yes.
It was that whole fest. It was a 2016 one.
Right. So they had a day off, and I was thinking, and then we found out that they were playing, and I was like, what? And I was like, can we get on that bill? And they were like, yeah, you can get on. And I thought maybe Suffocation or Cannibal Corpse would play too, but no, they took the day off. So, but Suffocation came through, and I think it was them and maybe Nile, and can't remember who else, but they came through, and Terrence and I we're old friends and stuff, and it was cool seeing him. And I was just like, hey man, and he like came right up to me and he was like, hey man, it's really good to see Morta Skuld playing again. And I was like, oh, like I didn't think he would notice, but yeah, he came right up to me like right after our set, and he was like, dude, it's good to see you playing again. So same thing with when we played with Nile and Terrorizer here in town. I think it was a couple, like 2 years ago, and then a year before. It was like 2 years in a row we supported them. But excuse me, I think it was 2018. I think it was Terrorizer, and Lee Harrison and I have been old friends. And I didn't know if he'd remember me because we had lost touch. And so we're out loading gear, and it was in November, so it was cold. And I'm out there and I'm freezing and stuff. He came up to me. He's like, dude, good to see Morta Skuld playing again. And I was like, whoa, like, so cool that you're focused. Cause I mean, what, sometimes when you're on tour, it's, you're taking care of business and you don't maybe have enough, you maybe don't have the time to maybe, do other things. So I thought that was really cool of both of those guys, to mention that. So, and they're both in great bands and they're great players. And, it was just awesome to see those guys again. Cause obviously we don't cross paths every day, so it was a really cool experience.
Oh, that's awesome actually, because like I gotta say, like now that like, when you mentioned like Lee Harrison, like Monstrosity and Terrorizer, actually, that's really cool that you actually got he got to say that to you, and same thing for Suffocation as well, actually, because like for me, actually, I am a really huge Suffocation fan. I really appreciate. I love Frank Mullen. I love what I love. Let me see, is that his name? Yeah, Terrence Hobbs. Actually, I really love like the band a lot. Actually, I think they're amazing.
Sure. There was a metal fest. I got a Frank story. There was a metal fest. I can't remember which one. I can't remember. I just remember there was, and I don't know what year it was. All I remember is they played, and we went on after them. And I was like, "Are you kidding?" Like, so Frank's coming off stage. And he goes, "It's your turn," and I was like, seriously? Like, we got to follow that? I'm like, come on. He's like, knock it off, But the cool thing about Frank was that we both had kids at the same time. So our kids our firstborns are the same age, I believe. So that was something we kind of had in common right off the bat. And that was something that we had, early on, like back in like 93, 94, him and I had talked about. So I have not, unfortunately, talked to him since. I have lost touch over the years. But I've seen a lot of the video stuff when he did the farewell tour, and just a really good guy. And I mean, I think that's the really cool part. I think about our community and our genre is that there's just so many nice, cool people, and nobody's there to be like prima donnas or there's like no attitudes. It's just everybody's just like, hey man, this is what we do, and it just. I think that's why I gravitated towards death metal. Originally, because in my hometown, when I first started doing this, you were either in a cover band, or you were in, let's say, a half and half. Your band would probably do half covers and maybe like 3 or 4 originals. And like there was a local band, a Milwaukee band called Realm, and they had been really, really popular at the time. And at the time, they were just kind of emerging. I think it was right before they got signed to Roadrunner. And I was like, underage, kind of. I mean, when I was 18, I was able to drink. I was grandfathered in and all that stuff. So, but even before that, I would be sneaking to these little local bars and I'd seeing like all these bands just tear it up and play, and it was just really kind of fueled me to want to play. And at that time, though, like I said, there was a lot of hair metal bands and a lot of cock rock bands and stuff, and I just didn't fit in with any of those bands. I wasn't pretty enough, and my hair wasn't long enough, and I didn't have the tightest jeans, and all lipstick and hairspray, and I just wasn't into that stuff. I was more of kind of like let's just wear a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and a leather jacket, and let's rock, and so that's why I really think I gravitated towards the death metal versus kind of some of the other things that were going on in our scene, and to see some of the bands that emerged from that time. And you look back now and you look at the history of Milwaukee and some of the death metal bands that came out of Milwaukee, it's like, it is pretty cool. It was really cool to be around at that time. And it was so new, and it was just so, I don't even know what the word to use. It was just new, and everything was just kind of emerging, and, and everybody wrote, was writing a demo, and everybody's putting out demos and selling their demos and trading and stuff. And it was a really, really good time to be a musician and to be in this particular type of music.
Oh yeah, of course, because like I know I definitely understand what you mean by that because I've seen like so many like old like videos of like the scene back in the 90s and how everything came out to like was building up in that time, and I gotta say like everything looked like amazing. Like bands from like that were forming like in Tampa, Florida during that time, like with Death and
Oh
Obituary,
yeah,
Deicide, Malevolent Creation, all them. Like I was like
sure.
shocked and to see how great everything was happening. I wish I was able to like
Yeah.
see what that was like back in the 90s, but
Right.
this watching old videos makes me feel like, oh, now I feel like I know what it was probably, even though I wasn't there, but
Yeah.
it gives me that feeling
Yeah.
like I was there.
Well, and around that time too, those bands, like I remember one year it was like Malevolent came through. Who else? It was like just I think it was Malevolent, Cannibal. I think it was Malevolent, Cannibal, Suffocation this one year, and they just came through, and like we were playing with them, and like it was like I think it was up in Green Bay, which is north of where I'm at in Milwaukee, and there was this huge venue, just huge. And I just remember those times. Like within the first 5 years of the band's history, we had already played with Suffocation, Malevolent, Obituary, Autopsy, Cancer. I mean, we were just playing Entombed, and we were playing with everybody, and it was just such an amazing time to play with all these great bands, and all these bands were like just starting, kind of like, like I said, I think Death might have had one or I think had 2 records out. I think Malevolent only had 1 or 2. Everybody was kind of still in their kind of infancy kind of stage, and here we come, and it was like they were like the first gen, and it was like shortly after that we put out Dying Remains, and like when Dying Remains came out, it was such a perfect time for Dying Remains. And oddly enough, Dying Remains was supposed to come out, I think in 91 or like 92, excuse me, and somehow there was a delay with the record, and it got delayed till 93. So when it came out in 93, I really felt like that was a perfect time because it really made an impact. And people were like, wow, what's this record? And who are these guys? And, and next thing you know, I'm getting all these opportunities to play with, this band and that band. And just, yeah, it was just a really good time. I mean, the 90s were just so phenomenal for our music.
Oh, it really was. Just all the videos I've seen, like, of the 90s back during the time, like, when they were, like, the birth of the genre was coming through and bands were, like, just making albums. And, even like, the whole big thing with Morris Sound Studios, with that going on, everyone wanted to go to Morris Sound to get that recording for exactly that type of sound I remember hearing about, too.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
And one other thing I want to also ask too is like throughout Morta Skuld's entire like career, like did you guys actually play and tour with Death?
No, we never. The band never toured at all.
Oh, okay.
And that was a weird thing about the band is back then there were a lot of bands that didn't tour. They didn't tour at all. It was just, you could still sell your records and people were still buying your records, so you didn't have to really tour. We didn't tour for a couple of reasons. Our drummer at the time, he just didn't want to tour. We didn't know it, but like we got offered a tour and we'd say, hey, we're going to do this. No, I can't. I'm in school now, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. So out of respect, because I had at the time it was one for all, all for one, whatever you call it. And I was like, okay, he's in school, we'll wait. And then 1 year would go by, and then the next year come by. Oh no, I'm in my second year or third year, and it was just constantly passing on these tours. And I really think that did hurt us. Till this day, it still has kind of hurt us. I feel like the band should be further along in the career than it is. But I think because of that non-touring, it just really hurt us. And we did finally have a chance to tour off of Surface in 1998. And when we did tour, the drummer like mysteriously fell ill and he refused to play. And we're all pissed off because we're like, man, we're in Florida, some place we've never heard of. I even tell people about it, like, never heard of that. And I'm like, yeah, it's some little shithole in Florida. and we were supposed to support Master, and there were like 20 kids there, and they just wanted to hear like 2 songs, and the drum, nope, not doing it. So he decided that he didn't want to do this, or he didn't want to fulfill the tour. So, and it was weird because the night before we had just opened for Slayer in Milwaukee here, at the Rave Ballroom, and I mean we played in front of like 4,000 people, and so we're like, wow, this is really cool, you know. And then all of a sudden, so within 2 days, the band was like almost kind of done. And the drummer's like, I don't want to, I'm not going to play, and I'm not feeling good, and like whatever. And I'm like, come on, man, So we literally lost our manager. Jack Koshik, actually, from the Milwaukee Metal Fest, was managing us at the time. And actually, he just went through heart surgery, so speedy recovery, Jack. He was literally paying us to be on the road and, renting the van and all that stuff. And we just came back, and it was just like record label instantly dropped us. He dropped us. I mean, everything just went away. And it was such an awful time for me because I worked really, really hard at this. And I pour my life into this. I mean, I've quit jobs. I've, broken up with girlfriends and all kinds of weird, stuff just to do this. And it was really disheartening. So we came back, and we actually ended up writing like three or four new songs with a drummer. I don't know why we stayed with him, but we ended up writing a couple more songs with him. And then he finally was just like, hey, I just want to do the family thing. I'm out. And then we were like, wow, like what the fuck? Like you stalled on us on the road. You screwed our career. And we came home, gave you a second chance, and then you screwed us again. So I vowed myself to never let that happen again with a band member. And the kicker is we offered to have a fill-in. And no, I can do it. We're like, hey, if you don't feel comfortable, we'll get a fill-in. No. So never let that happen again, though, because it was a bad move. And like I said, it really hurt. It hurt my career. We would probably be touring a hell of a lot more if things would have went a little different. So we finally, when the band came back and we did Serving Two Masters and we did Wounds Deeper Than Time, we were really fortunate enough to Evan from Maryland Death Fest, California Death Fest, Netherlands Death Fest, those guys approached us with a tour in 2017, and we were like, wow, we need to do this. We need to get out there. We need to show people that we're not a bunch of pansies, whatever. And so we went out on like a 10 or 11 day tour, and it just went really, really well. People were so stoked to see us, and it was just a great experience. And since we've done a couple of small runs, nothing major, but like since 2017, we've been to California a couple of times, and been out east a couple of times, and we did like a short run with Skeletal Remains a couple of years, or like about a year, well, more than a year now, and that went real well. So I mean, it's good. I'm really anxious to get back out on the road again. I'm really hoping that as the year progresses, that things get better in the nation, and we can do that because it's hurting bands. It's hurting bands not getting out there. It's just
Oh yeah.
You unfortunately bands of certain calibers, obviously it may not hurt. But bands of our level, it's like we have to get out there and play in front of people. People aren't going to be like, oh, hey, they're coming out with a record, and whatever. But we're very blessed. Suffer for Nothing is doing pretty well without us being in front of people. So we're really happy that people are receiving the new record, decent.
No, I'm actually very happy to hear about that because, like, what you said about all these bands, like, I feel sad for all my favorite bands who can't even tour. Like, my heart goes out to all my favorite bands who can't even go out and perform in front of all these people because, like, right now it's very hard. Like, even though some of them may be putting out a new album or something, but even if the record sales go well, like, they still want to go out there and like promote the new record that they actually just released to show everyone, like, hey, we're here, we're about to. Well, you loved all these songs. Let's play it live for all of you guys. You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully by the time things get better, like our record's already gonna be a year old already. We record. Matter of fact, this month this month is a year since we recorded the record. We recorded the record in late March and early April when everything was being locked down and people were being, stay home and all this other stuff. That's when we were actually in the studio recording our record. And it was such a weird time for us too, because we were like, wow, are we going to get stopped, driving to the studio? Are we going to get stopped? Are we going to get arrested because we're going to record a record? And, we didn't know. So we're very happy that we were able to record the record and get it done. I think it really turned out really well, especially for all the, the anxiety and all the, obstacles that we had to overcome for the recording process.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. I could definitely understand how that was. Like during back at that time, that was like really like hard stuff going on because it was just like the beginning of the pandemic and no one knew what was going on actually during that point. So I gotta say, like I'm very happy that you guys actually went out and to record that. That is really amazing because that actually is really cool to see that like no matter what happened back back during last year, like you guys kept strong and you were like out there just to make something good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because also one other question I wanted to ask was like, what kind of gear do you have? Like, what kind of guitar do you use to like record the album with?
I have one out. I have I got this one right here. So this is my kind of backup guitar. Ooh. It's a Schecter. It's a Schecter baritone. So this is my backup. I have two Schecter baritones that I use, and on Suffer for Nothing, I had just bought a Jackson. I said to myself I would never buy a signature model from any guitar player because I always thought that was kind of silly. And I saw this Mick Thompson Slipknot signature, and I'm like, wow. Like, that thing looks great. Like, it's almost everything I want in a guitar. And I found one used for like $600, and I was like, I'm getting this, right? So I ended up getting it, and one of my guys here at Guitar Center that does all my work had it all set up and ready for me, and it's like, yeah, because I was bringing all my other guitars in to get setups and stuff before the studio, and he had the Jackson set. He was like, here you go. So I took all three guitars in the studio, and my main Schecter, I've always tracked my rhythms with that for probably like the last 15 or so years, maybe even more. Love the guitar; it's got great tone. So this time we go in the studio and I plug in this Jackson, and our producer's like, dude, that sounds really good. I'm like, really? You think so? He goes, yeah, it's staying in tune. It sounds great. So I actually used, so I did two rhythm tracks. I used one Jackson, the Mick Thompson signature, and then I used my Schecter baritone. And then for the solo, all the solos, I used the Jackson for, and it just sounded really, really well. So those are my guitars that I use. My lineup, I got my amp sitting right here. I've been a Line 6 guy for 20 years or more now. More than 1998. When the Flextone head came out, so I used the Flextone head. I really don't have an elaborate setup like you see some of these guys that have pedals and racks and stuff. I really don't have an elaborate setup. I got a head. I go into a ISP decimator for noise. And then I go into a 412 Line 6 cabinet with vintage 30s in them. That's my setup. It's like stupid simple. But recently, since Tim joined the band, we were always because Tim was our touring guitarist for Europe, and him and I are always like, man, travel, and you do these. The last festival we did was Atlanta Death Fest, and we had to play on Marshalls, and I'm not really a huge Marshall fan. So I've been on this quest for like 2 years now to just find like the ultimate travel rig, something that I know I can plug in. I'm going to get close to my tone. I'm going to like it. So what we did probably almost a year ago, we switched over. When Tim had joined the band, he had this little Zoom thing, little tiny little guy called the think it's called the 3GN or the G3N, something like that. And it's it's a modeling, but the Line 6 is modeling too. So he had brought this over, and this was his setup, and he went from this the 3GN Zoom into a Seymour Duncan Power Stage power amp, and then and then into the cabinet. And I was like, I don't know, at first I was really kind of, I don't think I like this. I don't know if I like this, And he said, well, why don't you just get one? You get one, and I'll help you out, and we'll program it in this and that. And as we've been going through the process now for like the last 6 months, that's kind of our new setup now. So we just do the Zoom on the floor, plug it into the power amp, into the cabinet, done. And then we've got, you've got your lead channel, you've got your rhythm channel, your solo channel, and then we have one channel that has like no gate at all, just in case you don't want a gate for some part of the song or whatever. So just really simple setups. But that's pretty much the gear, and we've kind of I want to say we changed our sound, but we've changed a lot of gear. John's got a whole new bass. Excuse me, he's got a whole new bass rig, and we're just really honing these things in for like probably the last 6 months or so, and things are sounding really good. Just we're just trying to we wanted something where we could throw stuff in a backpack, throw it on our back, and no matter where we're going, we could just plug in and play and get a decent sound. Because sometimes especially when you're on tour, we would have to leave our heads in the van, because you're not going to lug, every night, you're lugging guitars, luggage, anything that you feel can get stolen, you want to bring in with you. And it just started becoming really cumbersome to have to lug, 60-pound heads every night. And, you're lugging your guitar, you're lugging your heads, you're lugging your luggage, So we were just like on a real quest, a mission, so to speak, to find something more travel worthy. And Tim really kind of hit it on the head with this stuff. And I just got a real simple setup now. I mean, I can fit it in a backpack. I can go on a plane with it. I can go on a train with it. I can go anywhere. And, and this way, if we are on the road and we're staying in hotels, I just throw it over my back, one guitar in one hand, this over here. And, then I don't have to worry about like, oh, crap, next day, like, I hope nobody stole our stuff, So I really think that was like really key for us. So like I said, real simple setups. I mean, nothing like stupid, crazy or nothing, but and I just look at it in that Zoom thing. If you look it up and do the research, they're not even that expensive. They're like $170. So somebody steals it, big deal. I can call Music or Guitar Center and have them ship one out next day to me, and I can, you know what I'm saying? And I just got to program it, and then you're done. So easy.
That's a lot, actually, really great gear. Actually, I like how that all like came together just to actually be it. And it is simple because having simple gear is actually good, because then at least like you're not like how to program it, how to actually operate it, and you're not having to have to struggle by bring it so many places if it's like large or like so many
exactly.
pedals.
Well, and the other cool part about it too is, let's say we go to a venue and they don't want to mic the cabinets. We have cab sims on, so we have a bunch of patches without cab sims and a bunch with. So it's very versatile. So if somebody's like, hey man, I just want to run you direct. Hey, boop, hit a patch, go ahead. So it's really, I think the key was to be travel worthy, transport worthy, and versatile. And I used to laugh at the Zoom stuff. I used to think it was cheap crap. I thought this stuff's crap. But after working with this particular Zoom, I'm pretty impressed with what it can do. So,
oh no, that's awesome actually. Because one other thing I wanted to also ask was since there's I know there's so many death metal bands out there. What are some of your influences? What kind of bands influence Morta Skuld? What kind of bands do you really look up to the most?
Sure. I'm a classic. I'm kind of a classic death metal guy. I just like a lot of the original bands that I grew up with. I mean, don't get me. There is a lot of really awesome new bands out there too. It's kind of a. I would have to say lately, I would have to say in the last like couple of years, I think I'm really more influenced by probably my old influences before death metal. Like I'm a big Michael Schenker fan. A lot of times when I'm writing solos, I'm like, what would Michael do? What would Michael do? And then if you listen to some of his interviews, he's like, I just play, I record, I play, And I'm like, so I like that. I like that attitude. So, I'm really listening to a lot of a lot of the old Riot stuff, a lot of the old Michael Schenker, some Helix, Alcatraz. I'm a big Alcatraz fan. So I really just been listening. I mean, I still listen to a lot of I still listen to a lot of Death. I still listen to a lot of Obituary, a lot of Cannibal Corpse, stuff like that. Hate Eternal. So I mean, I love that stuff too. I don't really think that stuff influences me as much anymore. And that's fine because I don't necessarily want to wear my music on my sleeve now because there's so much music out there. And, the last thing I want to hear is somebody say, hey, man, you ripped off a riff from so-and-so. And like if you go back to the Gory Departure and you listen to the song Gory Departure, you listen to the beginning, that's an actual Death riff. And I have no idea how we ripped it off, so to speak. But I don't know how that came. I don't know how we didn't catch that, because the drummer we had probably didn't play the same way, that maybe their drummer would have. But I listened to it and I go, wow, I think it reminds me of Low Life a little bit. But I was kind of like, wow, how did we do that? How do we, So I really try to not, if I come up with a riff or any of us come up with a riff and it sounds like a band that we've heard, we're like, hey, oh, sorry, it came out. Because I know I every once in a while I'll play something and, one of the guys, hey, that sounds like, I'm like, okay, and so, and it's not that we don't want to sound like other bands. It's just, you just have to be careful because, like I said, especially our genre is so, it's just such a, I can't even think of the word. I know what I want to say, but I can't think of it. But it's such a integrity based genre that you don't want to be like rehashing somebody's riffs or something like that. You know what I mean? So I really, I try not to I guess I want to say try not to be influenced, but what I try to do is I really try to listen to more of the earlier stuff that I was influenced by as like a teenager. And try to kind of get back to those roots and just kind of listen to kind of that stuff. And then, there's tons of riffs that, I'll listen to a death metal band, anybody, Death or Obituary, and I'll be like, oh, wow, that really, all of a sudden I'll come up with a riff and I'll be like, just for some reason I'll hear, for example, there was Extreme Tolerance was a song. And I remember I was listening to a Broken Hope song or something like that, and they had this squeal, and I just all of a sudden wrote a squeal part in there. I was like, wow, so that influenced me. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't sound like them, but it influenced me to write that riff. So I think there's still some nuances, and I guess influence is I'm not going to use influence. I'm going to say inspire. So that's what I try to do is I try to use what I listen to more as an inspiration instead of influence.
Oh,
that's what I should.
Awesome. No, I actually really like that a lot. Really, I really do. Because one other thing I also want to say is since you were since before you were mentioning Death, have you actually met Chuck Schuldiner back in the time before he died?
Chuck was such a huge influence and inspiration on me. Still to this day. I don't think there's anything that he's done that I don't like. I had the fortunate meeting, and it was brief, real brief. They were playing in Chicago. I think it was the Metro maybe. And I had seen him coming through the crowd. And we had, this kind of a funny story is when Human first came out, Eric Reif, was kind of he was managing them and all that stuff. And we had just signed a record deal with Grindcore in Chicago. And we were on our way home. And Eric's like, here, man, check the new Death out. We were like, what? We got a pre-cut? Oh, that's cool, And I remember it coming in, it was a cassette. And it was just a blue J card with, you know, the titles in black, just a blue J card. And I remember going like, that's really cool, you know? And so, of course, the album's phenomenal. We love the album. And then we were just releasing As Humanity Fades. And I remember saying to, I think we were in the demo stage. I think we had done like 5 songs. We didn't do the full length yet, but we did 5 songs. And I said, hey, man, let's use a blue J card, you know, kind of like what Death used. And I remember having that cassette, and I remember him passing through and just passing me. And I remember him, I was like, hey, man, here's our demo. And he was like, cool, took it. And like, that was it. That was our interaction. Never met him after that. I wish I would have, just because he was such an influence and inspiration, again, on me, not only back then, but still to this day. There's stuff there's every once in a while I'll write something and I'll be like, oh, that's totally a Death riff, you know, or it reminds me of a Death riff, you know. So no, I unfortunately did not have, I didn't really get to meet him as much as, or, you know, hang out with him or do as much as I would have liked. And it is unfortunate because he's like a pioneer and just an amazing, like, I guess I say genius, you know. I mean, just his writing and just not only that, but the lyric content and just everything in general. Like, he just was kind of a one-man army, you know, so to speak.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like for me, I'm a really huge Death fan. Even though I knew I'm basically never gonna ever have a chance to meet Chuck in person, but something about Death, it just blows me away. I feel like Chuck Schuldiner is one of my heroes. I still say to this day because
Sure.
what he's done for death metal impacted so much, and that's what I really loved a lot
absolutely.
about him.
You know, the one thing that I will say that was really cool was when the Death to All tour like first started, and they were coming through. They're playing the House of Blues in Chicago, and I had talked to Eric Reif because he was actually handling the tour and everything. I said, "Hey, man," I says, "You know, is there any way that, you know, Morta Skuld can be a part of that?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll get you guys an opening slot." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." So we went up there, and at that point we were just playing the demo songs. We didn't know any album songs. You know, people were shouting out, you know, album songs, and we're like, oh crap, we didn't know anything. We were just kind of focusing on the demos at that time. So we went out in front of the crowd, and you know, we played a really good set of demos. And later on, when the Death to All lineup came out with Max on vocals, and he did a great job. Like, I literally like the hair on my arm stood up, like goosebumps. Like, I was like a little kid again. Like, I was like almost rediscovering the music for like the first time again. And they did such a great job on reduplicating you know, Chuck's voice live and the sound that I kind of felt like he was there. I really do. I felt like in spirit he was there, and it was such a great experience for me to get to play that, but then also to experience the band and go like, wow, like I feel like I was transported back to 1991, you know, and it was such a great feeling, and I just was like, wow, like that was just super cool. So it you know, that was just great to do. I'm like so honored to do that. It was a privilege and an honor, and just to have that feeling again, to listen to the Human songs and go like, you know, and just have that feeling. Like, I just feel like they channeled Chuck. I felt like he was there. It just was great. Like, I felt like a kid again, you know. It was just amazing.
That's awesome actually, because one other thing I also want to ask, since you like, you know, talking about like the demos and all that, do you still have like any of the demos still today? Like, do you like back then? Do you still have them actually, or not anymore?
What do you mean by have them?
Oh, did you have the demo cassettes? Like, do you still have the cassette that you had back then, or not anymore?
No, I don't have any original pressings, but I do work with a lot of different labels. A matter of fact, there was a label from is it Canada, Scumlord Distro. He just released Gory Departure on cassette. It looks great, sounds great. He's going to be releasing Prolong the Agony and Serving Two Masters on cassette. And then earlier or later, like December-ish of last year, Fatalism Music, he actually released Surface on cassette. So no, I actually work with a lot of these smaller distros and stuff. And if they want to reissue the tapes, I'm all on board with that. So no, I don't have the actual originals, but I do have a lot of the reissues. Like I said, we have plenty of copies of those coming in all the time from different labels, and I think it's cool. I think it's great that these because first thing I get asked is like, hey, can we release Dying Remains? And I'm like, no, I don't own Dying Remains. The first 3 records we don't own and we can't reproduce on our own. So it really leaves us with Gory Departure, Prolong the Agony, Serving Two Masters, Surface. And what's great about that, though, is there's still a lot of interest. I know later on this year, I know there's a Brazilian label that's going to re-release Surface on CD for a Brazilian release. So yeah, I just and then I think even a couple of years ago, Ripping Storm Records did Prolong the Agony, Gory Departure on vinyl. I can't remember the name of it now. Becoming One Flesh was the release. So I mean, I work with a lot of different smaller labels and distros, and we'll figure things out contractually, and then like, hey, let's release it, and then I get some copies, and I mean, I do have copies, but not the original copies.
Oh, okay. I just want to know if you actually had any like old cassette tapes of original first presses still to this day or anything like that.
No, I do run into people every now and again, like in our area here, and they're like, "Hey, I got an original," and I'm like, "Well, you better keep it because they're selling for a lot of money on eBay. So keep it." And I have a local friend of mine. He's got Prolong the Agony on cassette still, and I'm just like, "Wow, that's really cool." Original pressing. So no, and I like it. I like the fact that these labels are taking an interest in this because this was like 1990. This was our first attempt at writing this style of music and the band becoming more mature and everything. And it's great then because people can buy that now, instead of going, hey, it's out of press, I can't help you. I mean, I know Relapse released the compilation on CD, but a lot of people want that tape. So I think it's really good that there's these small labels and distros that want to do the tape version. And then this way it gets out into fans and they can have that cassette version, and they can, I know the one I did for the recent one I did for that Scumlord distro, I think we put like a bonus track on there of Sacrificial Right, because when we were in process between Dying Remains and As Humanity Fades, we did a 7-inch split with Vital Remains, and it was a newer polished version of Sacrificial Right. And there was a local jazz guy that I was taking lessons from at the time. I don't know why I was taking lessons from a jazz guy, but I was taking lessons from this guy. He came in and just ripped solos, and they were like just amazing. Like they're so different than like what the original version was. So I thought it was kind of cool. I was like, let's throw this on as a bonus. You know what I mean? So if people want to go pick that up, it's got a great bonus track on it.
No, that's awesome. Actually, I never knew actually that Morta Skuld did like a split with Vital Remains. I never knew that.
Yeah, it's a 7-inch. If you look it up, you say like just Morta Skuld Vital Remains 7-inch split, and it'll pop up on the internet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, it was like a see-through 45.
Ooh. Oh, like,
yeah, it was really cool.
That's nice.
Yeah,
like it's a clear vinyl, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's nice. I actually never.
Yeah, it's really very hard to find.
Because I never even actually. That's one thing I love Vital Remains, so knowing that you guys did something with them, that makes me want to actually see if maybe somebody put up on YouTube or somewhere where I can listen to that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure of it.
Because I would really like to hear what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Like one other thing I wanted to actually ask was also this what would you say would be one of the best fan encounters, like a really great encounter that someone came up to you and said something that really just made your day and made you feel good? Like, did you ever have one of those really great fan encounters?
Yeah, when we were fortunate enough to go to or play Netherlands Death Fest, God, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 years ago already, but it seems like yesterday. But we played Netherlands Death Fest, and just such an amazing experience. I mean, we had never, when the band first came out, we were more of a European base, even though we weren't European. our fans were more European at that time because death metal wasn't like really as popular in the U.S. So we had a huge following in Europe, but we never had the opportunity to go over to Europe. Or if we did, we never took it. And when we went over there, like, it was just, man, like, as soon as we got off stage, like, people were just right there. And they're like, here, oh, thank you for playing, and thank you. And I'm like, whoa, like, you're thanking me for playing, you know, like, thanks for coming, you know. And just a lot of fans, you know, just saying, oh man, I've waited 30 years to see you, 30 years, and I finally can say I saw you. And, you know, just a lot of just really, really overwhelming fans. It was just such an amazing, and then that same year we played Czech Republic, and it was the same situation. Just people just thank you, and hey, you know, and everybody wanting a picture, and, you know, and stuff like that. And it was just such a great experience. Like, you know, we were supposed to tour over there last year, and of course it got canceled because all the crazy shit going on. And, you know, so, and I don't know if it's going to continue this year. I know that the 3 fests that we're supposed to be on have said they haven't canceled yet, but they're not really sure if it's going to go forward. So everything's kind of still at a standstill. I really hope everything goes forward because I really, really want to get back to Europe again. It was such a great experience the first time around, and the fans over there are just amazing. It was just great. But yeah, just having these people come up to me, it was like, whoa, like, you know, it just was like very overwhelming to me to have somebody thank me and say, hey, thank you for writing your music, and thank you for writing this record. And like, wow, like, you know, for so many years, you kind of go sometimes throughout your life going like, does anybody really give a shit that I'm writing this record? Does anybody really care what's coming out? And then when you actually see the fruits of your labor, and somebody just really generally happy and loving what you did, really, really just kind of put the cherry on top. You know, it's like, wow, like, I did my job right. I obviously did a good job, and it was just very fulfilling to see that and to get that, you know, just to get that vibe from people.
Well, that's great actually, because like for me, like I said before, I'm a really huge Morta Skuld fan, like because of you guys, and I gotta say, I'm just happy I actually found out who you guys were, because like basically. The thing is, I actually was like, the reason how I want to say this, so the reason why I actually found you guys is because like I was just like looking up on you like online one day for like basically for like a Christmas, like, you know, like a Christmas gift for myself to listen to, like, I want some new tunes. So then like I looked on, like, I just typed in old school death metal, and on the suggestion tab on the YouTube, it said Morta Skuld Dying Remains. So I was like, oh, the album cover looks great. Let me see what this sounds like. And then when I actually listened to it, I was like, oh, okay, I gotta go, and like I'm like, this is great. I gotta go, and I gotta buy this album on a physical copy. This is really good. This is
awesome.
Really heavy.
Did you get the reissue?
I think I did actually. I'm just
Okay. Because the reissues really sounds good. Like, really, I mean, we spent a lot of time remastering it, and the sleeve and all, just everything. I just really was a really good reissue.
Like, I think I have the reissue.
I'd probably say so, because if the original you know, from what I see on eBay, some of the original is like going for like $200 or $300. So if you didn't pay $200 or $300, then you probably have the reissue. And there's nothing wrong with the reissue. I think the reissue turned out great.
Oh no, I think I actually do have the reissue. I bought it off of Amazon, so I bought it for like.
Oh, perfect. Yep. Then yeah, awesome. Well, thank you.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Like I said, I want to. Now, thank you for telling me that there's a vinyl issue, because I want to be able to like get that as well, because I love to have like more than one copy of the same album, because I like to have it on different formats, and also it also helps to benefit the band. So I want to be able to support them as well. So that there's also that other reason why.
I completely agree with you.
And also, like, one other thing I want to say was oh yeah, actually it was about the demos. Like did the demos like ever like sorry, I'm just trying to think. Did the demos ever actually like come on like vinyl records, or did just only cassettes like that were reissued?
Yeah, the demos I had mentioned before with Ripping Storm Records, they put out a vinyl of if you Google Ripping Storm Records, It was the Prolonged Agony cover, but the actual vinyl had both demos on it.
Oh, okay. Because I
Yeah,
just wanted to know what
that
it
was that got released like, oh man, like probably 4 years ago.
Oh, really?
So maybe even more. I think it was like 2014, 2015.
Okay, no, actually, I remember you actually saying about the tapes because like I do collect cassette tapes, but I just want to know if they had like a vinyl issue because sometimes I don't want to like
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
want to have
You'd
the
have
tape.
you'd have to go online and see if Ripping Storm has anymore. But I know they put it out, and I remember a lot of people. It's on my wall actually. But a lot of people were like, "Oh man, this is so cool!" And the demo's on vinyl, and so far it's the only one that's approached me. I really would like to do another one through somebody else eventually. But yeah, if you go and look at Ripping Storm, they may still have some left.
Oh, thank you. Actually, I'm gonna check that out. And I don't know if I was right or not, but is behind you is that like a framed copy of Dying Remains?
Yes, I have. Let me see if I can. Here, I don't know. Here, let me hold on here. I don't know if I can't. I have everything plugged in, so I can't. Can you? I don't know if you can see that kind of.
Actually, yeah, I can. I can see like the person's arm.
Yeah, yeah. It's got it's got
that.
all the records. It's got everything I've done, framed, and then it also has. If you look kind of like right up in here, there's like a huge frame, and it's got all the CD sleeves from everything that I've done. So, yeah.
That's really
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, whenever we do a vinyl release, I make sure I frame it in an LP frame and throw it up on the wall. So.
Oh, that's actually really cool, actually, because I know, because like I never really I never do that with any of my records. Like I know people do have a picture discs, like sometimes I display it, but uh, what I'm seeing in the background, that's really awesome because I like how I see like the Dying Remains one, like the whole sleeves of like the whole square one of all the sleeves. That's is the middle has the middle has the logo, right? It has Morta Skuld on the logo.
Which one?
Oh, on the one with all the sleeves on it. Is like right in the middle. That's the logo, right?
Yep. In the middle, it's got the logo, and then it's surrounded by the CD sleeves.
Oh, okay. This one, I had a feeling. I'm looking at it, and I was like, okay, it must have that in the middle.
Yeah, my drummer from the first 4 records, the guy that had kind of quit on us and all that stuff. He had come to me a couple of years back, and it was like right around my birthday, and he's like, "Hey man, I kind of got something for him." Like, what? He like had it all wrapped up and everything, and I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "It was so cool, so cool. Probably one of the best presents I've ever had."
That is awesome, actually, because like one other thing I also wanted to ask was like who designed like the album covers for the band? Like who made the Dying Remains cover? Who made like the other covers? Like who's the one who like designed the cover art for all of the albums?
Well, we've had a bunch of different artists over the years. Prolong the Agony, and As Humanity Fades were. Trying to think of their names now. There was some local artists called the Marinos, and the Milwaukee Metal Fest logo, the skull and the guitar. They actually that was them. That was their drawing. That was their art piece too.
Oh.
So he had done Prolong the Agony for me, and then As Humanity Fades. And then Dying Remains was a local guy, Dave Steffen, who had we just stumbled onto him, and he had this piece, and we're like, dude, we really love it. So he did the first record. And then third and fourth record was done by S.V. Bell, Canadian artist. And then Serving Two Masters and Moons Deeper Than Time was done by another local artist called Pat Kachelik, which is a really long-time friend of mine. I love his work. He's done a lot of stuff for me. So he did, like I said, Wounds Deeper Than Time and then Serving Two Masters. And then the new record, Suffer for Nothing, was S.V. Bell. So S.V. Bell has done three album covers for us so far.
That's really awesome because what he did is amazing, like really phenomenal art.
Oh, I love it. As soon as I saw it, he put it up on his website because For All Eternity, that album cover and Suffer for Nothing are actually paintings.
Oh, really?
And he does, and he has like a full blown painting, and he put the painting on his on Facebook, and I was scrolling through his page, and I was like, whoa. I'm like, I really like this for the new record. Like, it really screamed "Suffer for Nothing," and I was like, dude, I gotta have that. I gotta have that. So him and I, made a deal, and I actually was. He actually sells the paint, so I might actually buy the painting off of him too to have in the in the jam spot. So yeah, no, he did a great job, and he does great work. I mean, they all do. All of them do. It just depends at the time who's got something. Is it speaking to you? Is it is it something that is covering what you're writing and all that good stuff? So I'm a big fan of really cool album covers, and I just want it to speak to me, when I have it on a record. It's got to say Morta Skuld. So.
Oh, absolutely. Because I remember you telling me that you actually had like a jamming session today. How did that go? Actually,
A what?
a jamming session? You told me. Like,
Oh yeah,
how'd that go?
we rehearse actually tomorrow. So every Friday we rehearse, and I always do like a pre, yeah, it went well. I run through. I don't like to go into practice and not rehearse anything. So I'm a little bit weird like that. So I like we have like a lot of our jam sessions recorded, Reaper, whatever, and then I just throw them. I throw them on my media player, and I just jam with them. I got my amp here and stuff, so I just jam with the songs just to kind of get in tune with them, and we trade songs off each different rehearsal. We have like a set A and a set B, and we're in the middle right now of we're like maybe halfway through the next record already. So we're kind of doing a little bit of everything, and so I like to, like I said, usually Wednesdays I'll play a couple songs, and then Thursdays I'll play a little bit more, and then Fridays kind of like I like any athlete, you train and you get ready for your game and stuff. So I like to get ready for my rehearsal on Friday and like to kind of be with it, and that way I'm on top of my game.
Oh yeah, absolutely, of course. Like no, it's always good to even like with no shows, it's always good for bands to keep practicing their art because then at least they're still fresh, and when it comes to like whenever shows come back, they're like right on point of knowing exactly what they want to play.
Absolutely, and so like I said, we divided all the songs into like a set A and a set B, like I mentioned, and this way, one week we'll do set A, and then one week we'll do set B. So this way, they're always kind of in rotation. So you're not like, like before we would not do that. So we'd have a set and we play the same set and we play it every week and play the same thing, and then we'd work an old song in. And, oh man, I forgot how to play that, or this and that. So this way, it's really great for us because we're playing all the songs constantly, just not in the same rehearsal. And then also it allows us time then. So instead of us playing like 16 songs, we'll play like maybe 9, and then we leave room at the end of the rehearsal to start either writing new stuff or playing the newer material that we have written.
Oh, awesome! Like one other thing I wanted to also ask was like besides death metal music actually is there like any other hobbies that you have? Like what are your other interests like on side like besides like just metal music and in general?
Sure. I really don't have. I don't really have any. Music kind of is my hobby and mainstay. I would have to say if I had a guilty pleasure, I'm trying to think. Drinking beer. I'm a big beer fan. But I love watching Storage Wars and Shipping Wars on TV. That's like my guilty pleasure. So I'm excited that they have a new season coming out. Yeah, I like watching movies, and I like watching different series of shows, and I'm a real big cop guy, or cop show person. So I like all of the different cop shows and stuff that maybe back in 2008, like the Shield came out. I was a huge Shield fan. Just stuff like that. I'm kind of more of a TV movie guy. So that's, I guess that would probably be my hobbies besides music. But music is a big part of my life. Always has been. I have a lot of passion for it, and it's just something I've always wanted to do, and I'm very fortunate that I'm able to do it as I get older, and very fortunate that the fans take an interest and buy the records and allow me to keep doing it. So
Awesome, like that's actually really cool. It's like always good to have like like I always say, I like to also like broaden my horizons. Actually, have like more than one interest because, like, even though I do consider music my number one, like biggest hobby ever because that's what I do every day. I love to listen to like a song or like an album or something like that. Actually, but I also have other things too that I enjoy as well. But also like besides like just death metal music, like do you like any of the other metal genres? Like thrash metal, grindcore, black metal, any of that?
I'm not a very big black metal or grindcore fan, to be honest. I do like some thrash. I'm a big Exodus fan. The latest Warbringer, I really like a lot. I think those guys are like super good. And I like the old classics, Testament, Anthrax. But it's kind of weird because as Anthrax has gotten older, I don't really feel that they're a thrash band anymore. I feel like they're more of a metal band now. Testament, I still kind of consider a thrash band because I feel like they still kind of kept those elements. But I like a lot of those bands. I still like a lot of the classic stuff that I like. I'm a big Alice Cooper fan. So his new record, what is it? Detroit? Is it Detroit Stories or Detroit Rock Stories? I can't remember the title, but I really like that record a lot. And like I mentioned before, Alcatraz and Riot and Michael Schenker, his newest one, Immortal. That came out in January. I really like that one too. So yeah, I like a lot of more of the older like rock. Still big fan of Dokken and the old Rat and stuff of that nature. So I still embrace a lot of that stuff.
Oh, that's good actually, because like for me, like I really love like for me, I absolutely think that to me, in my own personal opinion, that I prefer death metal as my number one more than any of the other genres because
Yeah.
I just like the guttural vocals and the guitar tones and everything and like the themes of like how amazing like a lot of the albums are. So that's my
Oh yeah. Oh
big
yeah. I mean,
passion.
I'm a huge death metal fan too. It's been like a very paramount genre for me. For matter of fact, when I first started listening to it, like I kind of wouldn't listen to anything else. Like I stopped listening to just pretty much everything I used to listen to. I wouldn't go back and listen to like I have like a lot of my friends are really into like vinyl, and they'll have their collection. Like my one buddy, he's really into Blue Oyster Cult and stuff like that, and he'll lay out like a big stack of vinyls, just like like stack them up, and then he literally one by one, beer, one, play this side, flip that side. And he'll have it like mapped out. He'll like have his whole night mapped out with which records he's going to listen to and what beer he's going to drink and stuff like that. So, um, I used back in the day when I was in the vinyl, I would do some of the same, but I've kind of my tastes have changed a little bit over the years. But yeah, I love death metal as well. I just think now I've kind of just kind of I kind of embrace both, and I go back and forth between both, and I really enjoy the fact that I can go back now and listen to records that when I was listening to at 16 and still appreciate them now.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Cause like my record collection actually, right, I have like a crate where I put it right over here, like where I'm sitting.
Sure.
I have like a lot of like mostly my whole crate consists of nothing but like a lot of the old school like death metal bands. Like that's really a lot of my albums and vinyls I have actually that consist of my collection.
Absolutely, nothing wrong with that.
Oh no, of course. Like some I have picture discs, and some I just have colored and just the traditional black, actually colored
Right, picture
um,
discs are nice.
albums. Oh, I love picture disc actually because I don't know. Like, I know some people have like a whole gist against picture disc, saying like, oh, the sound doesn't sound the best, so it's like a little poppy. But I just like it. Like in my personal opinion, I love it like more than like just a blank or colored vinyl because I like sometimes like having the cover on the disc, and that's really cool just
Yeah,
to look
I
at it,
agree.
and it makes good art piece too. Like you can just put it up on
I
the
agree.
wall, and
Yeah.
it shows like
Yeah,
how
my
cool it is.
girlfriend in the other part of our basement, we have the death wall. So
Mm.
she's most of them, not all of them, because I know the symbolic we for a love of us we can't find it for an affordable price. But she bought the set, and they've got the album covers, and we put them in album frames. And then, kind of like your Morbid Angel flag, I went and got the Scream Bloody Gore flag, and I kind of
Oh,
like put them around. So we've got the death wall on the other end of the basement.
oh, that's cool. Like I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to ask if you don't mind. Can you send me a picture of what that looks like? I would love to actually see what
Yes.
it looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. After we're done with the call, I'll send you some pictures.
Yeah, I'd love to see what it looks like. It looks actually like the way
Sure.
it sounds is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Because no, this Morbid Angel flag, like you say, my Autism Madness flag, like I love having this behind me every time, like I do
It's
things.
badass. It
Oh,
is badass.
it really is actually, because actually on the side here on my right, I actually have a Celtic Frost flag, and also over here
Oh,
I have a Cannibal Corpse flag too.
very nice. I can't go wrong with either band.
No, I love having like about my room. It's mostly just the classic death metal flags everywhere.
Sure. Why not?
Oh, of course. Like, are you like I don't know if I know I never mentioned this actually. Are you a fan of the band Mortician?
Mortician?
Yes.
I don't know if I mean, I really haven't heard a whole lot. I mean, I've seen their record covers, and we might have even played with them once or twice. I wouldn't say I'm like a huge fan. Not saying that. I mean, I really haven't really taken the time out probably to listen. So
Yeah.
so I guess after this, I will have to maybe YouTube some stuff and check it out.
All right, because like there's like something I actually one of me and my friends made, like I make like a funny little joke out of this, like Mortician has like a lot of these horror movie like samples when they start their songs and all that.
Uh huh.
So basically we made like this funny joke that we call it sample core because they have all these samples that play before the song starts. So,
That is pretty fun.
so we made up that little joke and we just called it like when I mentioned Mortician, he's like, oh, you mean that sample core band? Oh yeah, yeah. And then we make a funny joke out of it, saying, "Oh, it's not even an album; it's a horror movie soundtrack."
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like a little joke that we just came up with. Like
Right.
we just came out of nowhere. It's just for fun, really. We were just like, you know what? Let's
Yeah.
actually do let's make a meme out of this and see where we go with it.
Sure.
So yeah,
There you go.
it was just something fun that we came up with.
Hey, you gotta have fun. That's key.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And one other thing I wanted to also ask was like with Morta Skuld, like has there ever like been like besides that Vital Remain split actually, like has there ever been like a chance that you want to do like a split with any other any other bands, like besides Vital?
You know, not really. Not anybody. I mean, there's bands that obviously I'd love to play with or love to go out on the road with, but no, nobody really. I mean, it's hard. It's hard because if I said, hey, I want to do a split with Cannibal Corpse, well, you know what I mean. They're probably gonna be like, what? I don't think so. So, no, I really haven't really. No, I mean, there's like I said, there's bands I'd love to play with, but as far as doing a split with, I mean, not saying that I would not do it if somebody approached me or if any band said, hey, let's do a split. I'm more than willing and open to any band that wants to do something like that. But nobody like that comes to my mind in particular that I would be like, I want to do a split with.
Oh, okay. I kind of decided to start like maybe like there was like something maybe like that you thought of actually wanting to do like one day in the future if you ever actually had the idea to do it.
Sure.
One other thing I wanted to say was like this is just like a random question I wanted to ask, but if you had to like have like a like the most perfect like band tour, like what bands would you want to be on that tour with you? Like you like your dream tour, like that you would be like this is the best one ever. Like these the great lineup and all that.
Great question. I honestly would have to say I would say Cannibal Corpse, Obituary, and Morbid Angel.
That is a phenomenal lineup. I love that.
I would shit myself if it ever happened. That would be amazing. But yeah, I think that would be like the dream package.
That is actually really good. That's a great lineup because I've seen all three of those bands live. Like I've seen Cannibal live, I've seen Obituary live, and I've seen Morbid Angel live. So that's really would be really good to have like Morta Skuld with all of them.
And the thing is, they're all different too. They're all different. They're all different in their own style too. So that's kind of another reason too. It's like, well, they're all different, and then like you kind of put everybody in this package, and it would be like, I think it'd be a great package.
Oh, I think it's perfect. Actually, I really that's exactly what I was thinking as well. Actually, because like one other thing I also wanted to ask was like speaking besides besides Morta Skuld, like what would you say are some of like your favorite albums from other bands? Like which ones like would you say like what's your favorite like Morbid Angel, Cannibal Corpse, and Obituary like album that you since like you think about that?
I would have to say Obituary for me would be Cause of Death for them. Morbid Angel, I'm kind of split between probably Covenant and Domination. Some people say they don't like Domination, but I love that record. It's like one of my faves. So, and then what was the other band?
Cannibal.
Ooh, they have so many good ones too. I would have to say for them, it would probably have to be Vile. I love the earlier stuff too, like Eating Back to Life and all that. I love that stuff because that's where I first got my introduction to them. But there's just something about Corpse Grinder. There's something about his voice that he's just got such an amazing voice, and I feel like when he joined the band and put that record out, I feel like they just I feel like it just kind of raised the band up that much more. And not that I don't like Chris Barnes. I mean, Chris Barnes is great in his own right too, but I just feel like, it was like you listen to him, you're like, oh, this is really good, and all of a sudden Vile, it's like, whoop. It's just like, holy crap! Like his vocals are just freaking amazing on every record. He just does such a great job.
And also he was a very down to earth person when it comes to like the fans as well. Like he really loves to.
Yeah, I've seen the interviews I've seen and stuff. He just seems very, very down to earth. I've seen them a couple of times in the last few years. I unfortunately have not had the chance to meet him. I go way back with Alex Webster. Way back in the day, but now Alex, I don't really know if he remembers me, or I don't know if I'm really on his radar at all, because obviously he's so busy and they're at such a different level than they were 20 years ago. So I don't really know if I'm even in his mind at all. Probably not, which is fine though. I mean, he's got tons of fans, and I'm sure his inbox is filled. And I message him once a year though and wish him a happy birthday because we share the same birthday. So I never get a response, but that's okay. I completely understand that. Now Eric Rutan, he's in the band. We were fortunate enough to support Morbid Angel on the Domination tour, and we actually did an in-store here in Wisconsin with them back then. So I met Eric real briefly, but I do message Eric now and again, and he does respond, and we have a little bit of a dialogue. So I think that's really cool of him, because his inbox is probably full too, but he does take a little time out to respond to me, and I think that's really cool. Like I asked him about some vocal tracking and what he thinks of this and that, and he actually responded and this and that. I congratulated him on being a member now and stuff like that. So, I don't get a whole lot of response from some people, but there's a few out there that still do. Like Chris Canella, that's in Deicide. I met him at Netherlands Death Fest, and him and I became, Facebook buddies and stuff. And whenever we support them or play a show, we'll talk about gear and stuff. And he's always a great guy to talk to too. Very talented players. So, So a few guys I stay in touch with, and Phil from Malevolent now, and we talk now and again too. So, it's cool. It's cool. I feel like I was more in touch back in the day with them, and then everybody lost touch, and now we kind of come back a little bit here. And like I said, some respond and some don't, but I think it's really cool that some of them do take the time out to respond and just say, "Hey, how's it going?" Or "Yeah, it's great talking to you," and so.
Awesome, that's really great actually, because
Yeah.
when I found out that Eric Wutan actually joined Cannibal, I was like, oh wow, I never knew he was going to become a permanent member of the band until the announcement.
Yeah, great, a great fit, an amazing guitar player. He he has inspired me solo wise. Just listening to a lot of his solos from his past efforts, and just really kind of inspired me on a few levels. So I definitely enjoy watching him play, and he's a great player. I couldn't think of anybody else that would fit that bill, because their stuff is incredibly hard. Like I wrote him too. I'm like, there's no way I could ever play in Cannibal Corpse. I just am not to that talent level. So he is just in his own right an amazing musician.
Oh, no doubt about it. I love Hate Eternal, so what he does is absolutely fantastic, actually.
Yeah.
Like since you were saying about like those three albums, actually, I would say basically my favorite three albums were for Cannibal. Like one for Cannibal Corpse, for me it's Butchered at Birth because I think that was the most guttural album that I ever heard from Cannibal,
Sure.
and I'm also like a really huge Chris Barnes fan, so I really love like what he did on that album.
Sure.
And for Morbid Angel, for me it's Blessed Are the Sick because I really love how that came out with the song A Day of Suffering that I really got into, and even the title
Great.
track even the title track of it's great. And then the last one for me for Obituary, I would say is for me it's Slowly We Rot. Actually, that's the one, like their first album.
That's a great record too. Yeah, it's a great record too.
Yeah, so those are like my three top tier when it comes to all three of those bands, really.
Nice.
Because those albums really like also like really they mean a lot to me actually because I actually that's how I got my introduction to who they were, and it leaves a very big impact on me as well.
Sure.
No, especially with you guys with Morta Skuld's Dying Remains, that also left a very big impact on me as well too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Like I say, like I'll always be supporting you guys with whatever like the band comes up
Great.
with and anything in the future.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I want to also ask this actually, like I don't know if if you know yet about it, but is the band coming up with anything new in the meantime, like anything like upcoming in the future, like new songs, a new album, or anything, or
Yeah.
not yet?
Yeah, I had mentioned this earlier in a comment that we were like halfway through the next record. So.
Oh, okay, I see. Like, how's the process of that going? Is everything going well? Like, is there still a few things
Yeah.
to tweak?
Yeah, I mean it's not as fast as like maybe we would like, but it's like two of the band members live like an hour and a half or so north of us. So it's kind of hard to get together more than once a week. So when we get together, it's, and of course with technology now, you got Reaper, Tim records a lot of his songs. He'll send them over. I'll be like, hey, I'll either go up there and learn the song, or he'll show me at practice, or maybe a lot of times videotape too. I'll say, hey, can you video that riff? And then I'll learn it. And then when we get together on Fridays, we kind of go over the riffs and the structures. And so it's maybe not as fast, but it's still, I feel like we're really utilizing our time and we're being as productive as possible. So, when we get together for 2 or 3 hours, it's like we really want to hit it hard, hit it fast, make sure we're being productive so that way we can, keep moving forward. Because it's funny, as soon as we're done here, I got to actually I got to learn some riffs for tomorrow. So kind of like in that process. But yeah, we're about halfway through the next record.
No, awesome. Like, I'm actually glad. I'm looking forward to it. Like, whatever the final
Awesome.
outcome of the album comes out to be.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll see what happens. I know Suffer for Nothing is still fairly new. But we're really looking forward to doing this next record as well. I think there's I feel like there's some really good material on this one as well.
Oh, awesome! Like I said, I'm excited to see like whenever like the like whenever you guys announce it or anything that comes up in the future.
Sure, and, absolutely.
Apparently, that's really all I have to say for this interview. I'm actually going to end it off here.
Okay. Well, I thank you much. Like I said, if anybody wants, any of the past stuff, peaceful.com. The Bandcamp page is Suffer for Nothing Bandcamp. I don't know why. You can get stuff there. Dread Records has some stuff. If anybody wants shirts, I know Season of Mist is doing shirts in the U.S. and Europe. And then also the DNA Project is doing new Suffer for Nothing shirts coming out soon, too. So a lot of different places. Pull the Plug patches. They can get the new patches there. So a lot of different stuff coming out. If anybody has a chance to come and see us live, once that happens again, come and see us live. We have plenty of merchandise for sale, and I'd love to meet everybody. And hopefully we play somewhere close to you soon and we can meet in person.
Oh, of course. No, I would love to, actually, because like I actually live like right in I live in the borough, actually. I live in Queens, actually, in the certain
part very cool.
of Queens called like the Rockaways and all that. So that's where I am. But I also go to a bar in Brooklyn called St. Vitus. Do you know that bar?
Yeah. I've heard of that. Actually, we played when we were on tour. We played Lucky 13.
Oh, Lucky 13. Yes, I've been there before.
Yeah, so I'm hoping next time we get to play St. Vitus, because I heard a lot of good stuff about that club too.
Oh, of course. If you do,
Ed Farstay.
if you do actually play at St. Vitus, hit me up because I would love to see you guys
Okay.
perform live.
Absolutely. I will definitely keep in touch with you.
Oh, of course. Thank you. And yet again, thank you very much for doing this interview. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll send pictures after we're done.
Oh, of course. And also, I'll keep in touch with you. I'll talk to you still and everything.
Please. I look forward to it.
Oh, of course.
All right, well, you have a good night, my friend.
All right, thank you. You too, dude. Have a great rest of the day.
All right, take care, bro. All
right, see you.
All right, bye.